What is going on, Patriots Drive Nation? This is Jace back with the Patriots Drive podcast. I just did a video a couple days ago, since we're under a week away from the 2023 NFL draft, of people that I think are realistic at pick 14 for the Patriots. Today, I want to bring you some options that are probably going to be third, fourth, fifth, maybe a second round pick option. So later round draft picks that we see the Patriots always seem to hit on. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. Stay up to date. Have notification bell turned on so when we go live on draft night, you can be with us, hang out, talk some draft, and watch it live with us. But let's get right into this video. All right, starting off, this is a guy that in the last week or two, maybe even the last month, has been flying up draft boards. And so I don't think this guy can maybe be tagged as a late round draft pick, but this is someone that's been on my radar for a while. I'm going to start with some pass catchers here. I'm going to start with Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss. He's a wide receiver, 6'2", 220 pounds. People were saying, oh, maybe he's going to be a fourth round pick. I'm hearing that he might be a second round pick is what the rumors are saying from some NFL scouts. They're saying that they see him a lot like AJ Brown, not because he was from Ole Miss, but he's built like him, 6'2". He does a ton of good things. He's a great vertical pass catcher. What I like about him is 261 of his 936 snaps came from the slot. This guy is versatile. You can put him inside. You can put him outside. He had the 24th most screen yards on catches, 416 of those. He's his ability to be a big-bodied receiver as an X on the outside, but bump inside and run routes effectively, use his big body to create yards after the catch on screen passes, is it brings a dynamic element to an offense that I think you kind of see with AJ Brown, what they did with him in Philadelphia and what he did his first couple years in Tennessee. So Jonathan Mingo, maybe not that late round still anymore that you can say. He might go in the second, maybe early third, but this is a guy that if New England doesn't get a receiver in the first round, like some people want him to, maybe they can pivot and look at Jonathan Mingo in the second round and target him to be a pass catcher, maybe play that Devontae Parker role, depending on what they see him. He tested very well. He has he ran a 4.46. AJ Brown ran a 4.49, so he ran faster than him. Good strength, 22 reps on the bench press, a 39.5-inch vertical, and a 10'9" broad jump. All those are over the 80th percentile. Tested really well for his size and brings a ton of dynamicness to an offense. So Jonathan Mingo, another guy, I'm talking bigger bodied receivers today, just guys that I like in the late rounds, is Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. A lot of people are going to be hearing about Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. I like Cedric Tillman. I think that he was underrated. He was overshadowed by Jalen Hyatt, and he didn't play a ton. He was hurt a lot. He only played 368 snaps, still posted 417 yards. Last year, though, in 2021, he had over 1,000 yards on 50 or over 1,000 yards on 64 catches and 12 touchdowns. So a better 2021, a little bit more injury prone in 2022. But that Tennessee offense, man, if you guys have not watched it, they were throwing the ball down the field effectively. And when Cedric Tillman was in there, it was fun to watch him and Jalen Hyatt do their thing. This guy is going to be more of an X receiver. You're going to put him on the outside. He's big, he's strong, he's physical, kind of like Jonathan Mingo is. Doesn't have that top end speed, ran a 4.54, so you worry about that, but he can stack receivers very well. When he gets going, he's got good long speed, and he also has the ability to have that big frame because of being 6'3". He has that huge catch radius, kind of like Devontae Parker. So another guy, he posted a 43% contested catch rate, so 43% of the time you're throwing up contested balls to him, he's coming down with it. I mean, this is another guy that I think could replace Devontae Parker, depending on what New England views Devontae Parker as. And we all know at the end of the year last year, Devontae Parker was doing great things. So maybe they view him as a long-term option there. They just traded him or they just got him for a third-round pick last year, so they're probably not looking to move on. But these are late-round picks that you could develop under him that could potentially in their second year, third year, be really good receivers, and you're only spending a third, maybe a fourth round pick on these guys. So those are two receivers that I like. I want to stay on the pass catchers, though. I mentioned I had a couple of them. Let's talk about the creator of the two tight end offense and the two tight end offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien. He's back at the helm in New England. He started it with Aaron Hernandez, Rob Gronkowski. He's going to have it again with Mike Gesicki and Hunter Henry. The only problem, Mike Gesicki and Hunter Henry, neither of them are on contract after this year. So What are they going to do with their two tight end sets? I would hope that they bring one of them back. It would be awesome if they bring two of them back or both of them back, depending on how they perform. But I don't know if that's likely. So get a guy this year that's underrated, that has ties to Bill O'Brien, and I'll get into that in a minute, but that you can develop and then take over for whoever you leave. And that's Zach Kuntz out of Old Dominion. Zach Kuntz, he tested like a freak at the NFL Combine. 6'7", 255 pounds, 34-inch arm length. He ran a 4.55 at 6'7", a 4.12 shuttle. He had a 40-inch vertical jump, a 10'8" broad jump, and a 6.87 3-cone. That is most of those. The only thing that's not in the 90th percentile of those testing numbers is the 40-yard dash, and that's in the 89th percentile. So this guy at 6'7" is testing like a freak. And I think he's very comparable to what you're going to see New England do with Mike Gesicki this year. They probably would view him more as a pass catching, bigger receiver, not a true inline tight end. So maybe they re-sign Hunter Henry and bring in Zach Kuntz because Mike Gesicki after this year is going to chase that big money because he just signed a 1-year deal. He's betting on himself. So this is a guy that comes in. He was originally recruited to Penn State. He played at Penn State for a couple of years, transferred to Old Dominion. He was recruited under Bill O'Brien at Penn State. This guy has ties to Bill O'Brien, and he had such a good 2021 season. Again, another guy that was hurt. He had an undisclosed injury for the longest time. People are finding out it was a dislocated kneecap, but he's been cleared by doctors, so no need to worry. But he had 73 catches, 692 yards, and 5 touchdowns last year. Or in 2021. Last year, he only had 12 catches for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that's only on 207 snaps compared to 663 in 2021. So a guy transferred from a big-time Division I program, Power 5, under Bill O'Brien, goes to Old Dominion, dominates for a year, gets hurt. Now he's flying under the radar. A guy that, to me, is probably one of my draft crushes. I've been all over this guy for a while now. I think that he has some juice to him, and he could be a very good sleeper pick in the 3rd or 4th round if New England's looking to replenish one of those tight ends that could possibly leave in free agency. Right now, they are doubling your first deposit up to $100 when you use code PATSDRIVE or use the link in the description. All you have to do is select higher or lower and submit your wager for as low as $1 to win anywhere from 3 times to 20 times your money. You can also compete against thousands in Underdog Fantasy's daily fantasy tournaments ranging anywhere from football to baseball to basketball. Whatever sport it is, there's a tournament for you. Now with Underdog's Pick'em Insurance, you can still win money even if one of your picks does not hit. So head over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app. Make sure to use code PATCHDRIVE or use the link in our description to get started today. All right, let's stay on the offensive side, and then I'll get into some defensive players. Offensive tackle is a huge need for New England. We don't know if they're going to address it in the first round. If you haven't watched the video that I just put out of Picks of 14, I mentioned Broderick Jones as a potential guy, which I would love to see with his crazy upside. I want to talk about another big, massive, athletic offensive tackle, and that's Blake Freeland out of BYU. This guy tested, again, at the Combine. 6'8", really good frame, a little bit light. He needs to get probably a little heavier than 302 pounds, but he ran a 4.98. He jumped 37 inches, which was the NFL record vertical jump for an offensive tackle. 10-foot broad jump and a 7.46 3-cone. So you got a 6'8" dude moving like this. You talk about explosion. He has it. He doesn't have that strength, but you can put that on him. He's had great last 2 years. He had a 90.7 pass block grade, 87.9 run block grade at BYU. And yeah, they weren't playing that great competition, but this guy has everything you want in a developmental offensive tackle that you'd be taking in the 3rd or 4th round. And, quick feet, explosiveness. He can play in that outside zone scheme if that's what Bill O'Brien wants to do. He's reworking the playbook. That's what New England wanted to do last year. So maybe they stay with that in the run game. He's exactly what you want. He's athletic enough to reach 5 techniques. He can get out there and reach outside backers, defensive ends. He just needs to get a little bit more or a little bit stronger. The other thing, he started his career at right tackle. He played 450 snaps there in 2021. Then the last 2 years he's played over 800 snaps at left tackle. So this guy has a massive upside, played both right and left tackle, probably going to be exclusively a right tackle. But someone that could come in as a 4th or 5th round pick or a 3rd or 4th round pick and be a developmental guy, under Trent Brown or under Riley Reef or someone. Maybe towards the end of the year he starts starting, but after this year, this is a guy that has a huge upside with his explosionness and the feet that he showed, how quick his feet are. If you guys go look at his pro day and the NFL combine drills, his feet are impressive for how big he is. So Blake Freeland would be an awesome pick for me at the offensive tackle position if they don't address it in the first round. Let's go to cornerback, a cornerback that I think, and I've talked about this. I know a lot of people have kind of been adamant about adding another corner. For me, if New England's going to do it, I want to see him add length. They don't have much length on the outside. I love Jack Jones. I love Marcus Jones. I love Jonathan Jones. Don't get me wrong. Those are the guys that I 100% believe can guard the Stephon Diggs, the Jamar Chases, those guys. But we don't have length on the outside to cover Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Devontae Adams. We don't have guys to guard those big-bodied receivers, and that is still important. So, yeah, we have guys that could run in the 4-3s, Jonathan Jones, Marcus Jones. I think we need to add length. So I mentioned Joey Porter Jr. in my pick 14 video. Again, if you haven't watched it, go take a look at that. Here, I'm going to mention another dude that's big and tall. That's Corey Trice Jr. out of Purdue, 6'3", 206 pounds. Tested pretty good at the combine. He ran a 4.47. You don't expect guys 6'2" plus to run in the 4.3s. 4.47 for a guy that's 6'3" and has a 32 3/4 inch arm. That is good enough. I promise you. In the NFL, that's good enough. His length is going to make up for a lot of his speed. He had a good broad jump, so that shows his explosion. He's a guy that I think could come in and be a good developmental guy for Bill in the 3rd or 4th round again. I'm talking about guys coming in at this late round, in these middle rounds, and Bill developing them. He has a good tackling grade. We all know that Bill Belichick wants cornerbacks that can tackle. He's not going to take guys that miss tackle on the outside. And this guy is going to be able to do that. He also can play man coverage. He didn't do a ton at Purdue, but that's what he's going to be best at. I know that he hasn't had that experience doing it, but Bill can mold cornerbacks. I believe that he can do that. Jack Jones last year was known for a ton of off-man coverage, and now he's playing a good amount of off-man, but he's became good at press man too. So I think that he can play good press man coverage in the NFL. Bill Belichick can make him into something special with his size and add length. And I feel like we need to have that one long corner. A lot of people are going to also push back to me saying, well, we had Jawan Williams. Jawan Williams ran a 4.59. Like, there were red flags in Jawan Williams. A 4.47 is plenty fast enough for a guy this big. And it could add some versatility to the cornerback room, and still you're taking a chance on him in the 3rd or 4th round. So you're not investing that 1st round pick on him. You still have your cornerbacks ahead of him, like Marcus Jones and Jack Jones, and then Jonathan Jones. But you can develop this guy into one of those bigger receivers, and maybe he moves back to safety one day, depending on what happens with Jalen Mills. He has the size and the speed and physicality to play safety. So last position, not one we talk about a ton, but this is I've been adamant about New England adding a big, true nose tackle. And aside Christian Barmore, I think Barmore's a great 3 technique. He's super twitchy. He's getting better in the run game, but he's known for his pass rushing ability. Yeah, we have Devon Gottschall, but you still need to develop a guy like this. Bill Belichick, there's a clip out there that's Kirby Smart's talking about when he went to his first combine with Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick said that he looks exclusively at the asses of players. It sounds super funky, but he looks at those type of players, and he wants to draft them. He wants to draft those guys with big hips, big frames, that are hard to move. Siaka Ika, defensive tackle out of Baylor, 6'4", 358 pounds. He didn't play a single snap wider than the B gap this year. 135 in the A gaps, 281 in the B gaps. This dude is a mauler. He's hard to block, to double team. He holds his ground. He has great lower body strength. He's might be a little too heavy is the one knock on him. You wouldn't want him to get any heavier than what he is at 360. You'd want him to maybe get to 350, but he is physical. He can hold the A gap, B gap, play opposite of Christian Barmore, and be more of that run stuffer guy, opposite of Barmore. And I think that he would be a very good pick for New England in this 3rd round, if they want to beef up their offensive or defensive line interior. I also like Coburn out of Texas. There's a couple bigger bodied guys out of these Big 10 or Big 12 schools that have to deal with his run games in the Big 12 and some of those big offensive linemen. So Siaka Ika would be a guy for me to beef up the interior of the defensive line and play opposite of Christian Barmore, add a little more stoutness, and that might help with the lack of elite linebackers that we have. If you can two gap, A and B gaps with these guys, it makes it so much easier on your linebackers, and they can free flow. So I would love to see Ika be put in a Patriots uniform, maybe in that Vince Wilfork type of role that we saw him fulfill for so long. So those are a couple of players that I have on the Patriots radar in between the third, fourth, and fifth round. Like I mentioned, some guys might sneak into the second. You never know with draft night. But those are guys that I think New England could target in those rounds and could make some of those guys into some good players for them, and they could honestly turn into some superstars depending on how they develop, things like that. You never know with the draft. That's why it's so hard. But make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you think of any guys maybe in that third to fifth round range that you think New England should target, what positions you're looking at, specific guys, and then I'll get back to you. And then again, on Thursday night before the draft and during the draft, we will be live. So make sure you have your notification bell turned on so you can join us, come hang out with us, chat with us, and watch the 2023 first round of the NFL draft. So thank you guys for your support. And until next time, we will talk to you later.